As we start to approach the end of 2024, I wanted to share my top 5 chess openings for white. I've had great success with these. One thing that you're going to notice with these openings is that they're all rare. Okay, none of these openings are super mainline, but they're all very strong. They get good results when you look at the stats and when you play them the way you need to. Okay, now before that, there is a course that I recently released on a rare chess opening option for black called the Czech Pierce Defense. Very strong opening, very underrated. And yeah, I mean, that online course that I made is over 6 hours in content with 20 PGNs. If you get the course, I hope that you enjoy it. And for the month of September, I'm offering a 30% discount code. All you got to do, go down to the link below. I'll leave one in the pinned comment as well as the description. Go down to that link, plug in the discount code Czech Pierce 2024, and you will receive 30% off of that 6+ hour course. Again, only good until the end of the month. Now, from the white side, what are my 5 favorite openings? In no specific order. Okay, first off, e4. Okay, this leads to a lot of different fun stuff. Against the move e5, I have really liked playing the Ponziani opening with this move of c3. Okay, pretty rare when you look at the stats. I mean, you know, there's a lot of moves that white will go with there. The Roy Lopez, right? The Roy Lopez is strong. The Scotch game, Scotch Gambit maybe, depends how that plays out. You see Bishop c4 with the Italian game. You see the 3 knights, all this different stuff. c3, very strong move. What does this do? Well, it looks to prep the move of d4. And even if black plays a move like knight f6, we're playing d4 anyways. Take the pawn all you want. We're playing d5. We're getting our pawn right back. And there's so many different ways in the Ponziani opening to mess things up. In fact, I also made a course on the Ponziani opening over 4 hours in length, and I'll leave a link to that down below as well. Yeah, I mean, there's so many ways that, you know, the opponent can mess it up. In my course, there's 15 traps that the opponent can fall into, and I myself, I get this position all the time. I have titled players. I have very strong players online play this move of d6 against me all the time. And it's just dead loss because of bishop b5 with check. If you want to block with the bishop, well, thanks. Now you got to give up your queen. If you decide to block with the pawn, we simply capture back. And there's different things that we could see here. First off, if you want to take our knight, guess what? We take on b7 with check. After bishop d7, there's so many moves here that are winning, making a second queen, taking on d7 with the bishop. But we could play queen takes d7, which is surprisingly the stockfish move. We give up our queen, but here's the idea. Now you got to give up your rook, you got to give up your knight, and you got to give up your queen. At the end of all that, we're up 18 points in material. 18, okay? What if black takes with the b pawn? Okay, we capture back, right? Queen b6 is what black should think about here. In that case, we can throw in a little check, take on d7, castle kingside. We're simply up a pawn, and you have a king on d7. And returning back, if, you know, let's say black takes there, we capture back bishop d7. Would we rather take an exchange, get a 5-point piece for a 3-point piece, or simply take a 3-point piece? Well, the piece is definitely the way to go there, right? In this case, we're +4 in material because we already won a pawn, and yeah, I mean, we're just crushing this game, right? After d takes c6, what if black plays queen b6 right now? Well, in that case, this is probably my favorite trap of the entire Ponziani opening. We're taking on b7 with check. If you take the bishop, we'll make a second queen. We're not going to complain about that. If king d8, now here, taking this rook is now a big mistake because the queen could checkmate us on f2. That'd be terrible, okay? Notice again, if you take the bishop, then we can make a queen because a queen doesn't move like that. But a queen does move from b6 to f2. So making a queen there would be a terrible idea. What do we do here? We take on f7. And in this position, again, we're not making a queen. We're promoting to a knight. Crazy fork here. We capture off the queen. If you take back, we capture off your rook. And now we're up 21 points in material. Going back to e4. What about the move c5? Well, on number 2 on my list, again, in no specific order, I like the move a3 with the Mengarini variation, delayed wing gambit. This is a lot of fun for white. And, you know, I see this move knight c6 all the time. Very logical move, just developing and also covering that b4 square that we're also fighting for. But we're playing b4 anyways. Take all you want. We're now playing c3, d4. Massive advantage in the center right now, wiping out half of the 5th rank. And if you see a quiet move like d6 from black, we could keep steamrolling our opponent. And if g5, which is by far what I see the most, we now capture back and play the move knight a3. Now, if you are going to play, you know, the Mengarini variation of the delayed wing gambit, this is really what you want to memorize. You want to memorize up to this point of knight a3. There's so many ways that our opponent can go wrong. Okay, first off, what about e5, taking advantage of the center? Well, knight b5, and guess what? We're threatening to fork. If you see a move like queen d8, we play d5, kick the knight. You go back, we kick the knight. You play knight g6, we throw in a check. right? And after king d7, now if the knight went back to c6, fine, we'll take the rook. But in this case, bishop b5 checkmate. This game is over. I have won like this multiple times. What about the move knight f6? Well, same thing. We're still playing knight b5. We're still going for that fork. Now if queen d8, we play d5. You can take. Queen captures back. We got a little powerhouse fork here. We end up just a pawn, right? I mean, we'll take that any day of the week. And finally, knight e5, bishop f4. I mean, if you want to run away with the knight, I mean, knight c7 is just disastrous for black. Really, anything black does here is disastrous. If knight f d7, we can play queen e2. By the way, knight g6, getting that knight safe, not the best idea. And if f6, let's keep adding pressure. If you take, we'll capture back. Yet again, we're threatening a mate in one. We're threatening knight c7 as well, which is very dangerous. And if knight e5, we simply capture back with the queen. Ultimately, we're threatening this again. And yeah, I mean, this position is resignable for black, right? If black does play something like king f7 trying to get safe, let's play bishop c4 and start going after it. We're not even down material at the moment. So this is great for us, right? And yeah, again, I mean, going back, you know, to that knight a3 position. What if a6 trying to stop knight b5? Well, first off, the engine move is knight c4 here, going for the new target of b6. But you could also just play knight b5. a6 doesn't stop anything because, well, I mean, I guess it does stop knight b5 in the sense that it stops the knight. But now we just take the rook and we're up a point material and your bishop's pinned. It's only the 10th move, and your bishop is pinned by our rook to your king. You don't hear that very often. This, again, is resignable for black, okay? So we've covered the move of e4 and e5, which could lead into a Ponziani opening. Again, link below for that course. We have, you know, looked at the move of c5 with a Sicilian defense that could go into a delayed wing gambit, which is a ton of fun and some of those lines. I will leave links to the full chess opening theory videos on these specific systems down below. What if we see the move of pawn to d5, black going for a Scandinavian defense? Well, in this case, I love the move of knight c3. Now, this is called the closed Scandinavian defense. I honestly don't think that name gives this move credit. This is a very dangerous move. There's a lot of things that we could see. If captures, we could play the move of d3, and that's a very fun gambit for white. And if d4, which, you know, is very common, we can bring the knight over. Now, I'm going to be showing you the most popular moves in online chess. e5 from black, c5, knight c6. Notice how we got our knight over here. We have a knight pair here, right? Side by side, really eyeing up that king side really well. Here we have bishop c4, and against knight f6, which is the most popular move, knight g5, we're winning. How do you defend that pawn? The only way that you can try to get in the way is bishop e6, but in that case, we can take with the knight, capture back with the bishop. If you attack our bishop, we go back to h3. Very active piece there, and we're simply up a pawn. Black does not have enough to show for it. And going back to bishop c4, if our opponent sees that and they play h6, we can play a3 just to give that bishop an escape square if needed in the future. We can now play d3, castle kingside, knight h4. Key idea, getting this knight into that f5 spot. And if something like knight e7, okay, knight h5, right? Notice the active play that we have here. If you capture, we're going to take back. And this is a very fun option for white, and it performs extremely well, again, in online chess. So there's a number of chess openings that I really enjoy from white after e4, right? You know, after e4, if we see e5, we have the Ponziani. Against d5, we have knight c3. Against c5, we have, you know, that delayed wing gambit. I also have really been enjoying knight c3 going into the Van Geet opening, and my whole idea behind this is that I want to transpose into an opening that my opponent didn't mean to play, right? For example, I play this move. Let's say my opponent goes, you know what, I'm just going to play e5, try to take control of the center. Guess what? e4. My opponent all of a sudden realizes, wait a second, I'm playing against the Vienna game. Not what they meant to happen, right? If they play a move like d5, which makes sense, that pawn takes away e4, d5 is now protected by the queen. Well, what does white do, right? White can play e4. And we're back again into our closed, quote-unquote, Scandinavian defense. I wish I had a different name. It's very dangerous. It's very fun. And again, if black does take, we can play d3. This is the Dunst-Perronet gambit, offering up that second pawn. And if white captures back, we'll take. We have a nice edge in development here. If knight c6, we can play queen e2. We're just going to develop our pieces very rapidly, put some pressure on that knight, and look to castle queenside. And yeah, I mean, this is, at the end of the day, this is just fun overall chess, right? So knight c3 with the Van Geet, very interesting option if you want to transpose into different ideas. And finally, at number 5, in no particular order, the Hippopotamus defense. Okay, now, some might call this the Hippopotamus attack since it's from the white side. I just call it the Hippo defense. But, you know, it's really tucking those bishops, right? Fianchettoing those bishops, tucking those knights, getting 6 pawns on the 6th rank, and you're getting that hippo. So if G3, let's say we see something like D5, okay, we're going to fianchetto 1 bishop, right? This is usually how we do it, 1, 2, and 3. E3 here, tuck the 1st knight, tuck the 2nd, that's fine. Start to fianchetto our 2nd bishop. Now throwing moves like A3 and H3, guess what? We're in the hippo. This is what I played exclusively to reach the National Master title as both white and black, and I'll leave a link to that 6+ hour course down in the description as well. Okay, but overall, those are some openings that I like. What did you enjoy playing this year in 2024? As you know, it's not like the year's about to end, but we are getting towards the end of 2024. What have you enjoyed this year? What have you not enjoyed? What have you tried out and it's just like, I just don't like it? Other people might like it. I don't. If you don't like the hippo, if you don't like the Ponziani, if you don't like the check pierce, if you don't like all these different things, that's okay. Right. For example, for myself, let me think of an opening I don't like. I like most of them, to be honest. It seems like the Dutch defense. I'll be honest, I just don't love it for black. For myself. And I have friends that play it, and that's great. It's not my style of play, right? But that's what's fun about openings. You play something that fits your style, that gets you good results, and you run with it. Thanks for watching today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. I wanted to give a big shout out to my Patreon supporters for the month of September in 2024. I appreciate y'all a ton. It's been great getting to know you guys. And for those of you that haven't thought about joining the Patreon, there's some exclusive benefits that you gain by becoming a member. And if you guys do join, I'm excited to start talking to you guys over on the platform. On top of that, guys, here's the thing. Look, it's September. Okay, it's September. There's only so much time left to get that check pierce defense course. Click the link. Click the freaking link. Plug in the discount code. Get your 30% off. Only good until the end of the month. And I'll see y'all in the next video. Let's get it.